Shaun, it's that time of the year where we're all starting to be more time spent inside. There's less daylight out there, and we want to start next season hitting the ground running. So we've created this little practice plan that you can do indoors, no matter what the conditions are like outside. If you do this daily, if not a couple times a week, you will start next season way ahead of where you started this past season. And we're going to do that by giving you 4 of our favorite drills for each segment of the swing. A setup drill, we're going to show you a backswing drill, added to a downswing drill, and then we're going to show you how to train your 3 swing. So we're going to use our wedge to create a wall, and I would assume most of you have a wall you can do this with at home. If not, move a chair around, move a couch around, find yourself just a few feet of blank wall. This is going to help you dial in your setup because there's really no point in working on the rest of the golf swing if the setup's garbage.
Exactly right. We love this drill. We use it all the time in lessons, and it gives people the feel right away, especially if they're doing it wrong. A lot of people do.
I'll actually put it this way. All right, so this is going to be Shaun's wall, and he's going to use this backside as the wall.
Okay, so I'm going to come in there and turn my iron head this way, and that gives me my gauge for how far away from the wall my heels are going to be. Now, from there, I'm going to bend forward, get into my posture with my upper body, and crack my knees, making sure that I don't push into the wall. That's the drill.
That's the big key. So you're going to develop the proper hip depth because a lot of us struggle with early extension.
Yeah.
Right? You can develop the proper hip depth to make sure you don't early extend, and most of us do it in the backswing. This will take care of that.
Yeah.
Sorry, so let's go from that setup.
Okay.
Now, when you do this for the first time, it's going to feel like you're going to fall forward, right?
Yeah, and you can just barely be against it. Just don't put any pressure on the wall. You'll feel it just gradually brushing it. You don't want to make an artificial move like that. Because my pelvis is shaped like an oval, I'm just going to brush it basically.
Yeah, and if you're using a real wall instead of this foam wall, you'll feel some pressure on your butt cheek. But like you said, you're not going to do some cartoonish type move to make that happen. It should be pretty much in the natural flow of the golf swing. And then on the downswing, the opposite's going to happen.
Exactly. So you don't need to use a golf club here. You can just kind of swing your arm because the club is here already. If I went up here, my right side of my rear end, then they both would be on the wall, then my left side. That gives you a great way to kind of feel where your body needs to be during the swing and the setup.
So that's how this will transfer throughout the whole swing. But first, you've got to get this down good. So give yourself about a club head's width away. Put your heels right up to that. If you have a baseboard, factor that in. And then train where your hips will be relative to where that gap is.
I feel real little.
All right, so I'm on my high chair to show you this next drill for your backswing. So we're going to use the same wall, or you're going to use the same wall. We're going to keep using this foam. Now, the actual measured distance between where the ball is and where these Tour Pros maximum depth the club head goes in the backswing is 41 inches. We're going to approximate that with this 5-wood, okay? So if you got a 7-wood, a 5-wood, perfect distance, or you can get a tape measure out and go that exact 41 inches. So what Shaun's going to do is butt his 3-wood up, 5-wood up against the wall and set up to the end of the grip. Now, in his backswing, he's going to use this wall as a gauge to where his depth of his swing should be.
With the club head.
With the club head. So right there, that's a little too deep. You see it be blowing through the wall. Right about there is where that club head would be resting on the wall, somewhere in there. You'll get the idea. It's kind of hard to manufacture a wall here. At left arm parallel, that's where that club should be the deepest. Now from here, it's going to change a lot of golf swings for you.
Yeah, so from here, it actually, if I kept going, it should work back away from the wall.
Right.
So, and if I kept going like John Daly, it would continue to work away from the wall that way.
Right, so this is that Tiger swoosh mark that you see, not just Tiger, all great players do a swoosh mark to some extent, right, the Nike swoosh.
Yeah, this is the back side of the swoosh,
the
front side, I should say.
And it's not a manufactured deal, right, so we don't want it to have, take it back up there to left arm parallel, so we don't want him to finish the backswing by leaving this on the wall, because that'd be laid off.
Yep.
Right, if he keeps backswing that way, that's manufactured. We don't want to pick it up that way, right, and throw the elbows back on the wall. We want to just let it naturally work off the wall as you continue your turn.
Yeah, it's just a natural kind of circle motion. The club head starts at the ball, it hits the wall, and then it works away from the ball. Just really natural movement.
Right, and if you're not used to doing this, put a club head cover. Get your driver club head cover over the iron.
Yeah, I used to tape a hybrid head cover over an iron with some electrical tape just to make sure I didn't keep cracking the wall if I did it wrong or whatever.
That's exactly right. Now, the transition's going to do just the opposite. So he's left arm parallel in the backswing, he's laid it right on the wall, he's finished his backswing, now he starts down and a left arm parallel, it should be right back on the wall. with very little variation there. So if you train this, you're going to be training the overall general shape to a tour quality backswing with regards to depth and plane, both back into the top and out of the top. For training the downswing, this is one of our favorite drills. If you watch any of our live lessons, I'm sure you've probably seen this. We call it the blender. It's blending what the arms and body should do. Now, a lot of golfers will come see us and tell us they have an arms-dominated swing, or they want an arms-dominated swing, or they want a body-driven swing. The reality is neither one of those exist.
Both.
You have to have both of those to work properly in order to create a very effective golf swing. So that's what this drill is great at doing.
Yeah, so I'll start with, the way we use it first is to show from impact. So if I was going to be this way, you know, just a normal looking impact, and I did it from down the line, if I made my backswing turn and kept my arms and club in the same spot, that's where the arms would be. Right?
So this is also, this is a good concept to do, and do this at home in front of your camera or your mirror. The arms have to lift in the backswing, right? Or you would get that look of a backswing.
Yeah, so if this is impact,
Right.
and I make my backswing pivot, right? The hands and arms would be about right here. Now,
Or if that was address and you didn't lift your arms, that's where they would be.
same idea.
Yep. Same idea.
Now, we all know nobody hits from here.
Correct.
The arms have to go to here. So the trail arm is kind of level to the ground. That gets the club propped up where it's supposed to be.
Yep.
So that tells me that to hit the ball the way I want to with the proper impact position, by the time I get to impact, that's impact.
So your arms haven't worked away from the body. They haven't held any, what do you call it, external rotation, no funny arm movements. They've lowered to be right there opposite your trail hip.
Yeah, just lower them down. And then as I do that and add the pivot, that gets the club and the body where it should be.
Okay, so those are the two independent movements. Okay, now to blend those together, which is what happens in good golf swings.
So here's the plane, like eventual impact plane, just a little bit above this, right? So I'm gonna take it to the top, right? Move one is the lowering.
Yep.
Obviously that's unplayable.
Right.
But if I do that, as I'm adding in the pivot and the lateral movement, the club traces straight down the plane. That's how you create the plane that you see on a down the line video.
Right, from good players.
It's blending those two elements, the proper arm and wrist movements with the pivot action that creates the plane.
Now, you'll notice he didn't have to externally do any of this to shallow, and that club was plenty shallow. He didn't have to do anything strange with the body or movements. It's literally, and golfers have a hard time doing less sometimes to get better. And this is about as simple as movements you can make. Every one of you can raise and lower the arms, and every one of you can do this with the body. And it's blending those two that creates a good golf swing. So let's go back to that again.
Yep. So dress position, even impact, right?
Yep.
So when we take that up to the top,
Yep.
okay, I'm gonna swing my arms, pivot my body,
Yep.
okay? From there, I'm gonna lower in this direction, behind me, and pivot and shift.
Now what you'll notice, do that again and stop kind of shaft parallel in the downswing. So what you'll notice is his left arm is pretty vertical under his shoulder, and his forearm is pointing pretty much down the plane right at the golf ball. We see a lot of golfers with that look right there. You can't get to the ball from there unless you do really cartoonish things with the body.
Yeah, so if I did that and made my backswing pivot and came down to here and turned, I'm so far above the ground, I have to make this contorted motion with the body just to touch the ground.
Right, and we know, let's do this from the front too, because this is a really good view to see this.
Okay.
Because what we see a lot of golfers have trouble with is on the downswing, their hands are way back here behind their body. Now, what's always the case associated with that is that the hands just aren't behind the body, they're high, right? And you see that arm bit too much. When you lower and get the arms down right, that's what puts my hands in front of my leg. It's the lowering, it's not moving them out in front of me. So let's
Exactly
take a look
right.
at that same drill from the face on now.
So dress position, take it to the top. I'm gonna lower, I'd miss the plane in this case, right?
But your hands are well in front of your thigh.
Right here.
Yep.
And I'm gonna add the pivot in gradually. That puts my hands where
That's
it should
where
be.
we'd all want to be coming into the ball.
And then, you know, obviously the momentum of the club, the wrists start to unload.
Yep.
And I hit the ball. It's not super complicated. The complicated thing is getting rid of the old stuff that you were trying to do, a lot of these unnatural movements
Right.
with the body and the arms. Doing less sometimes harder because you have to let your mind go some of the other stuff first.
That's exactly right. So you combine this blender drill with our first 2 drills. Now you're really starting to develop that swing you want to take into the season, developing it in the off season. So for the last piece, the last thing you want to master this off season, let's have you go back to the end of the blender drill.
End of the blender drill.
Right before the turn kick. Well, actually, let's do it without the turn. Just do the arm piece of it. Okay, right there. So you'll notice Shaun's hands are opposite his trail hip. Now, as he starts to rotate the body, the hands do not move across the body. They stay on the trail side. So if I laser cut Shaun's body in half and just kept the right side of his body, he could still play golf because all of this takes place on the trail side of the body.
Yeah, this is a concept that's going to be hard for some people to understand, but the arms do the lowering. The body pivoting and shifting brings the club out in front. You don't want to be dragging your hands across your midline in here.
Right, there's no wiping of the arms from trail side to forward side of the body. It's all done by the turn. Now, that's going to look very different because we're all used to seeing this face on camera. If that camera moved with me, you would see the arm stay on the trail side of the body.
Yeah, and finally with momentum, they catch up somewhere in here, right, into the midline. But trying to shoot those hands across in an attempt to try to get shaft lean, a lot of times not only does it not work, it freezes the lower body, creates kind of an awkward motion through the ball.
That's exactly right. So if you add this concept to the blender drill and the setup drill and the backswing drill, now you've been building really the complete golf swing to understand that my trail arm through impact doesn't work across me. It works my right side, and then works away from my right side. And then as I release the club, it starts to swivel back up and point back down where the ball used to be. That's the release, and that's what a lot of golfers need to work on. So it's understanding those concepts, then putting them all together. And by March, April-ish, if you work on this consistently, you will transform your golf swing and hit the ground running next season. If you found this video helpful and you need more help with your consistency, we want to help you with that. Go to the first comment below this video. You'll see a link. Click on that link. We'll take you to our #1 consistency drill to help you hit the ball more solidly and more consistent every time you're out on the course.